The Texas sun burned without mercy, hanging high and white above the empty road. Heat rolled across the land in heavy waves, making the world shimmer and blur. Dust lay thick on the ground, soft as ash and just as unforgiving. Jonah Reed had been riding since early morning. His horse moved slow and steady, saving strength the way Jonah had learned to do long ago. He was 45 years old with a face carved by wind-loss and years of silence. Grief lived in him like an old injury, never healed, only endured. He had no reason to stop. The ranch waited north with fences that needed fixing, cattle that never stayed put, in memories that never left him alone. He wanted shade, water, and quiet. Nothing more. Then he saw her. At first she looked like a bundle of rags left by the roadside, something small pressed against the trunk of a bent mesquite tree. Jonah almost kept riding. Out here, stopping could cost you everything. But the shape moved. He slowed, his horse heart tightening without knowing why. As he drew closer, the truth settled heavy in his chest. A child, a little girl, sat in the dirt, her back against the tree. One leg lay twisted beneath her dress, bent in a way that made his stomach turn. Her face was streaked with tears, carving pale lines through the dust. She was crying without sound, the kind of crying that meant hope was already fading. Jonah stopped. For a long moment, he just sat there listening to the wind. Wagon tracks scarred the road fresh and clear, leading west. No one else around. No supplies. No shade worth its name. They left her. He dismounted slowly, boots crunching against the ground. The girl flinched when she heard him, but did not try to run. She could not. "You hurt?" Jonah asked, his voice rough from years of disuse. "My leg," she said, soft and steady. "It don't work right." He crouched near her, careful not to startle her. "How old are you?" 8, maybe 9. "Where are your people?" Her eyes lifted, then dropped. "Gone." The word carried more weight than the sentence. "They said I was too slow. Said I would die anyway." Something cracked inside Jonah Reed. He had buried a child once. A small grave behind a house that no longer felt like home. He had sworn never to carry that kind of pain again. He looked at the road, then at the girl. "You got a name." "Clara," she said. "Clara May." She looked at him, then asked a question that ended his escape. "Are you going to leave too?" The sun beat down, waiting. So did the past. Jonah swallowed hard. "No." The word surprised them both. He lifted her gently, feeling how light she was, too light. Her body stiffened, but she did not pull away. She smelled of dust, heat, and fear. "There's water north of here," he said. "We will rest there." She nodded, pressing her face into his coat, like she already knew this was real. As Jonah mounted with her in front of him, something shifted deep inside. A door, he thought locked forever, creaked open. Behind them, the empty road stretched unsilent and uncaring. Ahead lay a future neither of them could see. But for the first time that day, neither of them was alone. The ride north was slow and quiet. The horse moved carefully, as if it understood the fragile weight it carried. Clara May sat stiff in front of Jonah, her hands knotted in the front of his coat. She did not cry anymore. Crying took energy, and she had learned to save what little she had. Jonah felt every shallow breath she took, felt the heat radiating from her small body, felt the choice he had made settle deeper with every mile. They reached the creek just as the sun leaned west. It was little more than a thin ribbon of water cutting through stone and weeds. But to Clara it might as well have been heaven. Jonah dismounted and carried her down to the shade of a cottonwood. He laid his bedroll on the ground and eased her onto it. Her leg trembled when it moved, and she bit her lip hard to keep quiet. "You can cry if it hurts," he said. She shook her head. "Crying don't fix it." He handed her his canteen. Small sips. She obeyed. Water spilled down her chin and soaked into the dust. Color slowly returned to her face. While she rested, Jonah checked the leg more closely. It was twisted inward, the joint stiff and wrong, but old. Not a fresh injury. Something she had lived with her whole life. "Born this way," she said, watching him. "Mama said God makes people different on purpose." Jonah nodded, unsure what to say. He had spent years angry at God, years pretending he did not exist. He gave her jerky torn into small pieces. She ate, carefully chewing like someone afraid the food might vanish. When she finished, she leaned back against the tree. "Mr. Jonah." "Just Jonah." "Jonah, where we going?" "Home," he said before thinking. The word echoed between them. "Home." She studied his face. "You got kids." Had he? Past tense hurt more than the truth. "I had a daughter." Her eyes softened. "Where's she at?" Jonah looked toward the creek, in the ground behind the house. Clara said nothing. She understood grief better than most adults ever would. They rested until the heat broke. Then Jonah lifted her again, settling her more comfortably this time. She fit against him like she belonged there. As they rode, she asked questions. About the ranch, about the horses, about whether there were chickens. He answered them all. He did not tell her about the empty bedroom, or the nights he woke up reaching for someone who was gone. By dusk the land changed. Rolling hills replaced flat dust. Trees thickened. The air cooled. Clara lifted her head. "Is that your place?" Jonah followed her gaze. A small house crouched near a line of trees. A corral beside it. Smoke curling from a chimney. "That's it." She smiled. A small, careful smile, like she was afraid it might break. They were halfway to the house when a man stepped out of the barn. Tall, lean, with gray in his beard. He squinted, then froze. Jonah Reed. He walked closer, then noticed a girl. "Who that?" "This is Clara May. Found her on the road." The man swore softly. "You bringing trouble home again, Jonah." Jonah met his eyes. "Yes." The man studied Clara, then nodded. "Am Elias. You hungry?" She nodded shy. Elias smiled. "Then you in the right place." Inside, the house smelled like stew and coffee. Jonah helped Clara into a chair. She ate slow again, watching every movement, like this might all disappear. Later, Elias pulled Jonah aside. "You sure about this?" Jonah looked at the girl asleep at the table. "Am sure." That night, Clara slept in a real bed. Jonah sat on the porch until dawn, listening to the wind, knowing his life had changed forever. And this time, he did not regret it. Morning came soft and cool. Clara May woke to birds instead of silence. For a moment, she did not remember where she was. Then the bed beneath her, the quilt, the light through the window, told her this was real. She sat up slowly, testing her leg. Pain answered as it always did, but it was different here. Less sharp, less lonely. Outside, she heard voices, low and steady. Jonah and Elias talking over coffee. She took her crutch, the rough wooden one Jonah had made the night before, and made her way to the door. The floor creaked, and both men turned. "Morning," Jonah said. "Sleep all right?" She nodded. "Best sleep I had in a long time." Elias smiled. "That's the house then. It does that." Breakfast was simple eggs, bread, honey. Clara ate with care, still afraid it might all end. Jonah noticed and slid the plate closer to her. "You can eat slow." No one tucking it away. That mattered more than the food. After breakfast, Jonah showed her the yard. The chickens. The well. The old barn with doors that leaned. Clara watched everything. Learning. Measuring. Looking for the moment she would be told she was too much. She found it instead in the barn. A horse stood alone in the far stall. Gray coat, dull eyes wide and haunted. He shifted away when he saw her. "Who's that?" Clara asked. Elias shook his head. "Trouble. Came from a bad place. No one can get near him." Clara limped closer, careful, slow. "Hey there." The horse snorted, stamping. Clara, I won't hurt you." Jonah stepped forward. "That's far enough." She stopped but kept talking. "I know what it's like when people give up on you." The horse stilled just a little. Every day after that she came. Always from outside the stall. Always talking. Sometimes just sitting. Jonah watched her work. Something in his chest eased, watching her do what he could not. By the end of the week, the horse came forward when she spoke. By the end of the second, he let her touch his nose. Elias whistled low. Never seen that. Clara smiled. He just needed someone to stay. But not everyone was staying kind. When Jonah took Clara to town, the looks came fast. Whispers. Questions. Who is she? Why is she with him? A woman at the store stared too long. That leg don't look right. Clara felt shame rise. Jonah felt anger. She walks just fine, he said. The sheriff stepped in then. Tall, cold eyes, smile thin. That your kid? She's with me. For now, the sheriff said. The words stuck like burrs. That night, Jonah found Clara awake. You okay? She hesitated. They always leave. Jonah sat beside her. Not here. She studied his face. Promise. He nodded. Promise. The trouble came sooner than expected. 2 weeks later, the sheriff rode in with papers. Claims. Family. A man back east wanting her, saying she belonged to him. Clara shook. I don't know him. Doesn't matter, the sheriff said. Jonah stood between them. It does. Gun stayed holstered, but hands stayed close. Then another wagon came. A woman stepped down gray-haired fierce-eyed. She remembered Clara. From the trail. She spoke loud and clear. That man is lying. She had proof. Letters. Names. Witnesses. The sheriff backed down angry, but warned, this ain't over. That night Clara cried for first time. Jonah held her, feeling the fear shake her small body. You safe, he said. I won't let them take you. In the barn, the gray horse pressed close to the fence, watching, guarding, and Clara realized something. She had been saved. But no, she was staying. And sometimes staying was the bravest thing of all. The ranch settled into a fragile calm after that. Days passed with work and learning stitched together like patchwork cloth. Clara May found rhythm in the mornings. Feeding chickens, counting eggs, wiping tables. Things small enough to manage, big enough to matter. Jonah watched her closely, not hovering, just always there, making sure she never felt forgotten. Elias began teaching her letters in the evenings. She already knew some. Her mama had taught her by firelight long ago, but here she learned more, words that opened doors she had never known existed. The gray horse changed too. She named him Ash, because he looked like something burned but still standing. Each day she spoke to him. Each day he listened. Soon he followed her voice like it meant safety. But the law does not forget, and neither do men who want what they believe belongs to them. The sheriff returned alone this time. No smile. No patience. Court order, he said, handing the paper to Jonah. A judge says the girl goes east. Clara felt the ground slip away. Her fingers tightened on her crutch. Jonah read slowly, then folded the paper. No, that's not how this works, the sheriff said. Jonah looked at him steady. Then you best learn a new way. The sheriff left with a promise. A warning riding behind him like dust. That night, Jonah did not sleep. Neither did Clara. She found him in the barn, sitting in the straw. Ash pressed close his head low. I don't want you hurt because of me, she whispered. Jonah shook his head. You didn't cause this. You're the reason I fight. Elias joined them. I sent word to an old friend. Lawman, not the crooked kind. Morning brought a stranger. Young, sharp-eyed, carrying a leather case. He listened, read, nodded. This claim smells wrong, he said. Too clean, too fast. He worked through the day. Riders sent. Records checked. By sunset he smiled. Found it. The papers were forged. The name false. The man east a factory owner, buying children cheap. The sheriff returned pale this time. The order withdrawn. Investigation opened. Clara watched from the porch, heart pounding. When it was over, Jonah knelt in front of her. It's done. She burst into tears. Not fear this time. Relief. In the weeks that followed, word spread. Children in danger. Children taken. Jonah and Elias opened the doors wider. One child became 2. 2 became 4. Not charity. Work. Learning. Belonging. Clara helped them all. Showing them Ash. Showing them how to stay. Years passed. Clara grew taller. Stronger. Her leg, still twisted, but it no longer defined her. The ranch grew too, a place spoken of in whispers then in hope. A girl once left on a road, now standing tall. Jonah watched her one evening, Ash old and gray beside her. You saved more than me, she said. He shook his head, smiling. You save yourself. The stars came out. Witness T. Oh, a life changed by one choice. And the world turned better for it. The ranch no longer felt small. What once had been a quiet place holding 2 tired men and one frightened girl now carried the sound of many footsteps. laughter, arguments, songs sung badly while working. Life. Clara May was older, now 14, and steady on her crutch. Her hands were strong. Her voice carried confidence. Children listened when she spoke because she understood them. They arrived scared, most of them. Some quiet like shadows. Some loud and angry, all carrying the same fear that kindness would end. Clara showed them otherwise. She woke before dawn helping Jonah with the animals. She taught the younger ones their letters. She sat with the ones who woke screaming from dreams that would not let go. Ash grew gentler with age. He followed Clara like a shadow. Children who fear horses learned to trust by watching him trust her. One afternoon, a boy named Samuel arrived. Thin, burned hands, eyes empty. He would not speak. Clara sat with him by the fence. I didn't talk for a long time either, she said. It's okay. He stayed. Not all townsfolk approved. Some said Jonah was collecting broken things. Others said he was playing God. The preacher came once. Spoke loud about order and decency. Jonah listened and answered calm. Decency is feeding children. Order is teaching them they matter. The preacher left angry. But a woman stayed. Then a man. Then more. Support came quiet at first. A sack of flour. Old books. A blanket. Elias smiled more than he used to. I never thought I'd see this place full of life again. Neither did Jonah. Winter came hard. Cattle lost. Money thin. Clara heard the worry in Jonah's voice late at night. She brought him ledgers. Ideas. What if we train horses, she said. People pay for that. Jonah studied her. You sure? She nodded. Ash proves it. They started small. 1 horse. Then 2. People came. They saw. They talked. Work returned. So did hope. One night, Jonah called Clara to the porch. He handed her papers. What is this? Guardianship. Permanent. Her breath caught. You mean? You are my daughter, if you want to be. She didn't hesitate. I want. Jonah pulled her close. For the first time since his loss, he felt whole. Years passed faster after that. Clara became the heart of the place. Speaking in town. Writing letters. Fighting laws that forgot children. More ranches followed their lead. More safe places opened. Clara stood once on a stage far from Texas, telling her story. A girl left on a road. A man who stopped. Applause followed. But she thought only of the dust to heat the tree. She returned home to cheers. To Ash waiting. To Jonah, older, slower, smiling. This place exists because you stayed, he told her. No, she said, because you stopped. They stood together, watching the sun sink low. Children ran laughing behind them. One choice, one stop, a life multiplied into many. The years softened the land but strengthened the people. The ranch stood wider, now barns repaired, fields planted, laughter carried on the wind. What began as shelter had become sanctuary. Clara May was grown, not tall, not unscarred, but unbreakable. She walked the grounds each morning greeting every child by name. Some ran to her, some nodded shy, some watched first then followed. They all knew this place meant safety. Jonah Reed moved slower now. Gray threaded through his hair, but his eyes stayed steady. Proud, he watched Clara teach a young girl how to hold a brush against a nervous horse. Gentle, patient, fearless. That girl arrived 2 weeks ago, shaking and silent. Today she smiled. Elias sat on the porch sipping coffee. You ever think about that day? Jonah nodded. Every day. If you had not stopped. Jonah looked toward the road far beyond the trees. Then none of this would exist. Ash lay near the fence, old eyes half closed. Still calm. Still loyal. Clara knelt beside him, pressing her forehead to his. You stayed too. That night, the children gathered for supper. Voices overlapping. Stories shared. Family. After the dishes, Clara stepped onto porch. Stars stretched wide above Texas, endless and bright. Jonah joined her. This place will be yours someday. She shook her head, smiling. It's already ours. He laughed softly. You sound like your mother. Clara closed her eyes. She remembered a road. Heat. Dust. A tree. She remembered waiting. And then hooves. A shadow. A choice. Saving one person changes everything, because that person goes on to save others. She turned to the children playing in the yard, some broken, some healing, all alive. If the story touched you, if Clara's journey gave you hope, please comment and tell us where you are watching from in the world. Your words matter, and her story deserves to travel far. She stepped back inside, home full, heart steady, and the Texas night wrapped around the ranch. Witness to a miracle born from on, a simple act, stopping instead of passing by.